Mercedes. Hey,
Good afternoon.
welcome. How you feeling?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm good today. It's a nice day. It's sunny
Mm,
out. It isn't rainy or snowing, but honestly, who knows what the rest of the day gonna look like.
I agree.
So I see you have on your Earth Remedies hoodie. I love that.
Thank you.
For the people in the audience, can we get one from?
We definitely can order some, yes.
Okay, yeah. So the weekend is coming up. What do you have for the plan for the weekend?
So hopefully I can do some workouts. I'm gearing up for the 13.1 marathon,
Oh, you're running
half
it too.
marathon, yes.
Oh, I didn't know
Are
that.
you?
Yeah, that's the plan.
Okay.
That's the
I'll
plan.
see you at the finish line.
Yeah, you will. You'll see me and my lungs dragging behind me. Cause oh my gosh.
So I am gearing up. My first race was last year, and I ran all throughout the West Side with tears in my eyes. So I'm like, I have to do it again and bring out more community. So hopefully today I can do some deep stretching, and tomorrow I want to walk down Madison and just look at the disparities from
Yeah.
downtown to Oak Park, and
That's
hopefully I have some
bananas.
time tomorrow to relax as well. But I'm trying to move my body and enjoy the nice weather that we have today.
Yeah, I love that. So you said you ran the 13.1 miles with Bank of America last year.
Yes.
So what is your why? What did you hold on to get you through the 13.1 miles? Because that's like what? How many hours did it take you to run it?
I think it took me about 4.5, 5 hours. I didn't have the training that I needed. I found out about the race 2 weeks before I had to run it, and I'm like, I'm doing it. And my why was the community. I knew I wasn't going to see a lot of us as we ran um, in our neighborhood. So I had the Pan African flag, and anytime I saw community, I would just like, yes, yes, yes. And in my heart, I knew I was going to complete it, but my body, I felt it. But anytime I saw community, it was that power boost. So my why was community. My why was to let them know we can take up the streets. I came across peace runners in that same breath. And it's like, okay, we have to run. Movement is medicine. And there's opportunity for us to get out and get connected to our neighbors in a holistic approach. And I was able to see a lot of our partners when I was running through Garfield Park. We made it to Humboldt, back to Garfield, and then North Lawndale. And I'm like, oh, if we could touch Austin and West Garfield, that's 26 miles. And I was just mapping it, just thinking like, we can create something of our own and amplify the West Side. And we continue to have conversations with the Chicago event management team. Who's helping to sponsor that to say, hey, how can we amplify the wellness resources in our neighborhood, the small businesses in our neighborhood, and when outsiders come to the West Side, it's not, oh, look at this beautiful area that we cleaned up a day before you came out, but look at the beautiful businesses and the community that is here, and we are amplifying that. That's my why, and I hope that becomes a great motivation for um, other individuals and organizations to partake in something that could potentially displace us.
I love that. I know you're from West Garfield Park. Woo woo,
Yes.
right? So tell me what it was like growing up there.
Yes, so I love to say I grew up between the cuffs of Humble Park and Garfield Park, basically Chicago and Pulaski. I went to Orr and Piccolo. I like to say I was a big fish in a small pond. Um, my parents uh, were, well, they stressed, um, family, um, building community, and pouring into that infrastructure.
Yeah.
So my father, he was heavy on education. My mother was heavy on mental health and wellness. And I believe they gave me opportunity in the support system. So I grew up in a 10 family household. My parents had, 8 siblings. I was
Uh-oh.
I'm the third oldest. 4 girls were the oldest, and then the 4 boys. They're younger than us.
Oh, that's probably better. Yeah.
Yeah, we're like the Brady Bunch in that respect, back at Piccolo. So just to have family that was my first sense of community, to have the structure anytime we had to go to school, my dad would pick us up and drop us off. Anytime we came home, it was food on the table. So that gave me a great trajectory. Going to a low income school or a historically disenfranchised school, I noticed there was opportunities for me, more opportunities than my counterparts. And I had access to uh, educational institutions because they sought me out. I'm like, oh, we think you'll be a great asset to this classroom where you can get a college credit before you even enter college. So it was opportunities presented to me where I know, okay, this is my future. If I continue to go down this road, the door is going to open for me.
Yeah.
And as I'm moving, I'm looking, less and less of my classmates are with me. So I ended up getting a full ride scholarship from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, the Gates Millennium Scholarship. And I believe it was due to my community service. I had all A's. I had the highest GPA at OR. Like I said, I was a big fish in a very small pond. So I recognized that, like, okay, it was nothing just to listen and to ask questions and to help others. But the moment I was helping others, teachers was documenting that and putting it within our community service hours. So CPS, you need 40, and on my CPS transcript, it had 390 something. And I'm like, yeah. And that, I believe, showed this is a student that can pass on blessings, pass on opportunities, because that's what she's choosing to do. And I received the scholarship. I could have went anywhere in the United States, but I wanted to go to DePaul. I love their Vincentian services. St. Vincent de Paul, he committed to the poor, and going to a low income school and seeing students that were not just TAs volunteering in my school. I'm like, I want to volunteer. I like that. If you have something, it may not be much, put it in the pot and watch that grow. So I initially saw DePaul in a very genuine light, and it wasn't a need to recruit me as a student, because I'm like, I want to go pour into people how they're pouring into me. So I already knew I was going to DePaul, and my dad was like, there's no way you can afford it. So the few months before I graduated, I got the full ride scholarship, and it was just a blessing, in my opinion. So I knew I had to amplify that back forward.
So how did you feel in that moment when you received that? Was it a letter? Was it an email?
Yes.
How did you feel?
Back in the day, it was a letter. It came in a big UPS envelope. It was like a manila envelope, and when you open it up, it was Velcro, and you see the GMS paper, their colors, the flag. And I just had this conversation with some alumni. We just met up for the first time in, I think, 14 years. Yeah, they did a United States tour to come see different alumni in different states. So I just spent time with them last month, and we were talking about how we found out, and a lot of them had assistants. They came from legacy schools where, like, oh, we have this scholarship. The number of students that have gotten accepted from Kenwood or from this high school, and I actually brought the scholarship to my high school. So it was the pressure of, I didn't know what to expect. And when I got the envelope, I had to go to my school and then explain to them, I think I got this, and it's a full ride. And they're like, that's not real. No, you don't. So I had to convince a lot of people that, like, I have a full ride scholarship, that it's not Coca-Cola. So, and then I went back and taught other youth how to get that scholarship, because there's nothing against teaching other scholars how to get the scholarship, because we don't know what made us special. So after I got the Gates Scholarship, I wanted to make sure other youth were connected to those opportunities. I went back to my high school and started to offer those resources to those scholars. And that planted a seed that we really needed to get connected to those opportunities and those resources a lot earlier. What do we have to do to get a full ride scholarship or to get connected to an institution or a corporation that would alleviate the cost? And when we would work with a lot of the scholars, our number one goal was for them to have no debt or as less debt as they would if they entered without thinking about their finances.
Yeah.
And a great approach is to let them know trade is an option, certifications are an option, and looking for scholarships, looking for institutions that will invest in your education is also an option. But holding onto a degree with a lot of debt may limit your opportunities later on in life. So as we're educating our community to go to university, we also want to let them know how to have a great relationship with money and how that can lead them to a better trajectory as well.
So, as you know, CLF is all about lived experiences. How have your lived experience shaped who you are today?
Yes, my lived experiences have shaped who I am today because, as I stated earlier, growing up, I've been given opportunities because others saw potential. And the more opportunities I was presented, the further I would go, the further I would grow. And I noticed that if a scholar did not have the package, they were almost left to the side. And it's a way for you to work with scholars that they can plant into society. They can push into society and be that model American. And I noticed that anytime the mayor would come, anytime it was a president for the day, I would be snatched out of my class and circulated for all to see. And it's look at the best side of this school. And sometimes if you show the dark side, the ugly side, you may get more resources. But they were showing me in a way that ignored a really big issue. And my accolades was a small percentage of what we all needed. Like if we were in AP classes, we had new books because AP was new. Honors, we could share books, maybe take some home. If you were in a normal class, there were not enough books to share. And if you were in special ed, there were no books to take home, let alone in class. So you did see the disparities. And the more potential you had, the more resources you received. And I do know that not everyone have the same upbringing, have the same mental capacity. However, we do deserve the access to make change. And if you don't know, let there be a space for when you do figure it out, it's not that hard for you to access. So a lot of the work that I do, a lot of my lived experiences is based on being cherry picked and being groomed towards a token. And I'm like, you go into corporate, you go into all these spaces and you get all the information, all the resources, all the knowledge, and you pour it back into the community. So how you can one, play the system, how you can navigate the system, how you can bring corporate social responsibility into those systems. It's, they put you in this space and they want you to go back and make their neighborhoods better by showing, look at this model American that we have. But I took that information and I'm like, let's pour back into our community. And I feel blessed to kind of have that opportunity to see those systems, to see how it's working, and to say we need a database, we need a community with unity, we need a space where we can congregate and discuss a meeting of the minds and it not be disrupted or destroyed. So a lot of the work that I'm doing is because I've been in rooms where I've seen it happen, but it gets destroyed when we bring it into our spaces. So as that model American, as that person, they say, oh, look at this perfect idea. I like to shake those tables and knock down their doors. Like, yes, you guys taught me all this information on how to play the system. But now I want to make sure I can bring it to my community on how we can accelerate in a system that has historically infringed upon us. So it's just information and sorting through a lot of information. And I like to say I'm a data analyst, but it's getting more into becoming information analysis, and how you can analyze a story, how you can analyze the metrics, and how you can try to identify some impact to say, yeah, these are the issues, here are potential solutions, and how can we get the people that are most impacted to those resources. So my lived experiences are engulfed with the historical manipulation within our community, because I've seen it and it's been done to me, for me to become a token, a model American. And I think because of the tools of my father, the heart of my mother, I'm able to see, people trying to manipulate and play you. So you can take those resources from your community and plant those seeds into theirs.
Who would you say is the most influential person in your life?
My mother, Miss Gladys Murray.
Shout out. Tell me why she's the most influential person in your life.
She's taught me everything I know. When I was younger, we had a restaurant, and it was called Shady Soul Food on Chicago Avenue. And I think anyone who hear this shout out, they're going, "Oh, Shady's." Yes, I'm Shady's daughter. And it was a restaurant on Chicago Avenue. We had 2 locations. One, I think, was on Avers, and the other was on Holman. And she used to cook soul food that touched my heart and touched the community's heart. Individuals outside the restaurant, she would feed them. They would clean up around the store, take garbage bags from her. They wouldn't let her touch a lot of the dirty work outside of the building. When we would talk to my dad, like, "Hey, we're just feeling like giving food away." And he'd be, "Okay, the 200th customer today." And out of nowhere, you're the 200th customer, just some elderly woman, just seeing community being amplified. And if you have some resources to give, make sure you give it. Every block club party, my mother would call around to community to see what resources we could pour into the youth's book bags and fill up book bags to give to the youth. Barbecue, so they pull up, here's a hot dog, a burger, here's some school supplies, some chips, some water, some juice. And she would also have our toys that we kind of outgrew, so the youth could kind of have access to it and play in the street, because not everyone had a bike. So to see my mother just doing this out of the kindness of her heart. She has 8 kids of her own, and on that blog, everyone see her as Mama Gladys. And I tell my mom, "You brought that big mama spirit from the South." And she does not do this for any attention. She does not do this for any accolades. And she planted a seed in me, and people ask me, "Why do I do what I do?" And it's like, I don't know. I just have this fire in me that has been ignited, and entering the space of CLF is being nourished. And as I stated, the idea of tokenism, you get invited into rooms, and if you say something, you may not be brought back. Don't bring that pain into these rooms. But CLF is not silencing that. They're like, "No, we want you to walk into these rooms and elevate the community, speak the truth, come with the data, come with the people." And I just been talking about how people have been the power. When you think about money being power, or people being power. And you've seen it with, the recent mayoral election, just going out to the people and being able to connect to your local officials on any given level, whether it's the new district council of the police for safety and accountability, or is it our alderman and alderwoman. There's opportunities for us to connect and say, "Hey, we see what you're supporting. We see what you're pouring into." And we don't have to wait till the next 4 years to pick our mayor. We can decide now who's going to lead us and champion us, because you're not on our side. And a lot of times we can look around our community and see individuals who are not pouring in a manner that won't ultimately displace us. And I kind of came across a new term called poverty pimps. Poverty pimps, yeah.
Tell me more about that. Poverty pimps.
So I would say there's There's gatekeepers, there's strategic starvation on the west side of Chicago, but there's conversations of how it's intentional. Like it's not just some people find themselves in a restricted space, but some people are seeing the profit in the pains. So I've been learning how to identify that and not get emotional when I'm seeing the profit off the pains of Black and brown people. So how can I identify the issue, help connect people to the folks doing the real work, and allow that to speak value. So we are navigating these spaces, coming across, entities that is getting paid to keep us where we're at. And it's institutions that look like us, it's institutions that work with us, and to figure out the why behind the pain of human capital is interesting. So I've just been trying to identify the folks doing the work they're doing, and allowing our scholars to do asset mapping and asset framing. So when we are in need, we have those resources readily available.
I love that. Okay, so now we are we're in the part of the space where we do Black movie quotes. You might have thought you were going to sing today, but we're not doing finish the lyrics, right? So we're going to do Black movie quotes. Guess the Black movie quotes. I'm going to give you what happened? Are you nervous?
I will. I am not. I was in academics.
Oh, okay.
I didn't watch TV. So you're going to give me calls down.
Okay. Some of them are like popular ones.
Even then, I have had friends that have set me down and like, we're gonna watch all of these. And a great example is Don't Be a Menace to Society,
Mm-hmm.
And I had to watch all of those before I watched the parody.
Yeah.
So that kind of shows like how little
you know about Black cinema or cinema in general.
Yeah, cinema in general. Yeah, in general. Yeah. But now I'm getting there. I'm appreciating cinema and the lores, many different lores, and the cult classics.
Yeah, you have to watch them. They're hilarious, especially when you go back to the ones in the 90s and 80s. Oh, man, that's some next level TV there. They don't make TV the same. Tubi has taken over and gotten down on us. But no. Okay, you ready? So finish the quote, right? So movie quotes, Black cinema. I'm gonna say the line. You're gonna guess what movie that you think it's from. And in the event, because you are an academic that you don't know, we'll just move past it. No worries. Okay. So, are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. You might get this one because this is a very popular one. You show is ugly.
I'm gonna say this to my friends, and they're gonna laugh at me. I've heard it before. You have to delete all of this footage. Can you tell me what?
What if I give you another one?
Yeah.
Another
Can I call a friend?
Ooh. I like that. I might have to implement that. Can I call a friend? I like that. Let's bring it. I'm gonna hold on to that. Maybe not today. I'm gonna give you.
You show is ugly.
Boom. I'm gonna give you hints. I'm gonna give you hints. Whoopi Goldberg is in a movie. She's in the movie, and so is Oprah.
Oh, Color Purple.
Boom! See, I got you. Look at you. You ain't need a friend.
You're my friend.
True. I just gave you hints, but you had to do the rest. So,
okay.
Good stuff. All right. Here's the next one.
I'm sweating.
Don't sweat. You're okay.
I did not study.
It's okay. Oh my gosh, you should have seen Ed. Man, he was all over the place and he watched all the cinema, so he didn't get it. Don't feel bad about any of it. He got like 1 out of the 4.
Okay.
Don't feel. And you came out with the one.
That's one?
Yes, that's one of them. There's 3 more, and we got this. I think you're gonna have this. So sit your $5 A down before I make change. Hint: Wesley Snipes. Wesley Snipes.
I just started watching Wesley Snipes stuff, so I feel. Oh, I know it because I just seen it.
He was a gangster in this movie.
It was
Come on.
It's It's oh my goodness, it's the movie with
Chris Rock is a
crackhead, and it's not.
I don't know if you can say that he's a drug user.
Yes. I cannot.
You know, I'm gonna give you the first New
Jack City.
Boom. Okay, I gave it to you because you knew other people that was in there, so you knew the movie. You just didn't know the. It's okay. That's good. Okay, boom. You ready?
Yes.
Ain't nobody come to see you, Otis.
Oh yeah, that's the.
No, the other one. Boom. See, Mercedes, you're doing good. You got 3 out of 3 so far.
Give it to me. You like that teacher that gave you like the extra points for trying.
Here's the last one. I hope you packing something in that wallet. I'm not one of those salad eating chicks.
I've never heard that before.
It's my personal favorite. It's my Shiro. Queen Latifah's in this movie, along with a Chicago native.
Oh, is that the? Not that this is the barbershop spinoff with the beauty.
Nope.
No.
Common's in this movie as well.
Oh, that's The Last Holiday.
No,
I'm just saying stuff that's Queen Latifah's.
So she was in that movie, but that was actually LL Cool J that starred in that with her.
Okay.
So I'll give you this one because you seem like you're not connecting.
I have no idea.
That's okay. It's called Just Right.
Okay.
She played a physical therapist in this movie. So that's okay.
Yeah, 3 easies, 1 trick one, and I was struggling all the way through.
You know what? I think you did really good. It did not seem like you were struggling. You should have seen how many clues I had to give my man Ed, and he did not pick it up. So I think
it's so
you did
funny.
good.
I will have to tell this. Like, I had a quiz and I just failed.
You didn't. You got 3 out of 4. So
the next time I see you, I'm gonna have to be spitting them out. Like, I'm a cinema genius. Like, how do you know this? Like, I watch movies.
You know what? Movies are my happy space. When life get really hard, that's how I escape, through watching television or movies. It's my happy. Like, most people like to listen to music, but I'm like a TV person.
Yes, it did take me a little longer to just appreciate a wide range of music. So now people call me a jukebox because anything that plays, I'm like, ah, ah, ah. But nature has been like my solace. Mm-hmm. And I had to go, because I have a speech impediment, I often would just take myself out of social situations. Mm-hmm. And even my sisters were watching TV, I'm almost, in a separate space, engaging with them as they're engaged with, the TV. Mm-hmm. So it's like I recall some things, but I'm like, I recall the moments that we were together because I wasn't watching the television. And now, like, just using music and cinema as a love language, you can just sit down and just watch a series of things with people, and you can just see where they were in different parts of their life, what they found funny, what they found emotional, and I have to catch up. So it's so much for me to like watch.
That's
like,
fair.
Netflix, Hulu, Disney, all that. I'm like, it's so much for me to watch.
Peacock.
So, Tubi, all of it.
Let us not talk about Tubi. So, how did you hear about CLF?
Lieutenant Harris. Lieutenant Harris informed me about CLF. I was connected to Aisha Oliver during the springtime, May. A young girl named Jocelyn Adams, she was murdered outside of the McDonald's in North Lawndale. And as a lot of people say,
the little girl, the 3-year-old, actually,
she was 6 years old.
She was 6 years. Yes. Oh, it's actually not that far from where we are now.
And we just saw a lot of shoulders being shrugged, especially because of who and how the incident could have arose. And the real issue is that our children are being subjected to this violence, and we can look at the historical hardships. We can look at the contaminants in their water that's giving them behavioral issues, like the lead. But we can also look at what's happening in and around the household. That's going to desensitize the youth and get them to behave in ways that we're trying to discourage. So I really wanted to get the community up and moving. So we walked all the way from Humble Park to North Lawndale, down Kedzie, because she lived in Garfield Park and she passed away in North Lawndale.
Yeah.
So we wanted to pass those markers in which she lived and she played.
I didn't know that.
Yes, and we needed caps to amplify the relationships that were being built, but also to protect, the volunteers that's walking down the neighborhood. And I came across Lieutenant Harris. He was Sergeant Harris at the time, and at that time I was shaken. I'm like, okay, they're telling us to stick to the sidewalk, but I don't know what to do. And just to be reinforced, like, okay, you're doing great. It's organized. Amplify your voice. And it's like to have the heart, to have the passion, and then to have the support. Mm-hmm. So I should have known that the platform was going to come shortly thereafter, because a man like Lieutenant Harris is seeing individuals with the drive, but they don't have the support, they don't have the platform, and that can make or break a person.
That's true.
It really can. So I love that I was able to build a strong relationship with Aisha, and also get connected to CLF because of the work Lieutenant Harris saw that we were doing, and Aisha was doing the work in Austin. We made that connection because too many young people are falling victim to not only just the gun violence, but crimes and negative activities and behaviors.
That's true. I love that. And that's so true. I didn't know that you guys did that walk. I wish I could have been a part of that. I did remember hearing the story and what happened, and it was completely heartbreaking because, when you lose it, it's never okay when the child dies. Like, It doesn't matter what race. It's never okay. But especially our young Black kids, when no one's really paying attention to what's happening to them, that makes it even worse.
And they see it.
Yeah, you see it, but it's like, well, whatever, or it's not impacting you, so you can look away.
Mm-hmm.
How has your experience so far as a fellow been? We started, it's almost at the end. We started off, we did the orientation, and then we went to the Global Leadership Summit, and we've been having sessions once a month, every month, and having some amazing speakers come out. So how has all that been for you?
I feel seen, I feel heard, I am more confident. I have to say that. I've been entering rooms alone. I do a lot of work by myself. It's a lot of data. So it's like just get in and you just make the connections. You go to events and you can move easily, by yourself. But getting connected to CLF and being able to utilize our skill sets, the amazing ideas that we're able to bring forward, because we've been sitting there in those communities analyzing. And my little team, Aisha's team, Roberta's team, just taking all of our teams and identifying our strengths, identifying what we do well, what our impact is, what our mission is. I'm able to sit back now and do what I love, make connections, strengthen other people's voices, and bring that SOP into another space and say, hey, you don't have to do this alone. And that's one thing I'm learning from the South Side as well. Organizations like Soul, Southsiders Organizing for Unity and Liberation, Nate Sanders, is really helping me to see that a lot of the work we're doing as an independent organization can be replicated across different districts. If you're trying to get vacant lots from your alderman or alderwoman, guess what? There's organizations who have a great relationship with their alderwoman or alderman, and they've gotten lots, and they're building incubator spaces for entrepreneurship, for trade development, for community development. And we can show you how to get this done, how to have the proper communications, and we'll be right behind you. And we'll have all the aldermen and alderwomen that's behind you as well. So it's not something where you can be shrugged off like, no, this isn't where we're moving. It's this is people power, and people power can infringe upon that money pursuit. So I've just opening up my network and going to different individuals to see how can we get the work done, and learning it is key. So I'm always in a space to learn, to document, and to help other people with what they're building, because that's ultimately my work. Building that database and making sure that it can be self-sustainable once, I kind of step away, and I have a lot of, volunteers, a lot of scholars, a lot of team members, putting that work in. And I want to just make sure that it's sustainable.
Yeah.
And a lot of times we put this work into databases, and it doesn't sustain itself. And that's something that I'm trying to identify as well.
That's super dope. I like that. Okay. So you are the founder and CEO of Earth Remedies. Tell us a little bit about the work you do.
Yes, Earth's Remedies. Some people forget the apostrophe S, but there's an ownership.
Earth's Remedies.
Earth owns the remedies. And a lot of people get confused that what is Earth's Remedies? How is that connected to building the community? And I like to say our community is in a state of an emergency. So when you get connected to Earth's Remedies, it's like getting connected to the ER. We can assess, we can identify, make those connections, and help provide that extra lifeline that you may need in a variety of areas. We don't just focus on one particular pillar. We amplify the folks doing the work, and we're connecting them within a pillar of health and wellness, financial literacy, career, trade, business development. And that allows for a small business, a resource center, or a scholar family, or a resident to easily get connected to those resources. And I think that's more important than, trying to house every resource. Myself, or, maybe focus only on tutoring. A quick example, ER, we started off as a tutoring platform. And when we were working with the scholars, we noticed they understood the work. They needed that extra tender loving care, that extra attention, but they understood the work. And if they got it wrong the first time, once you sit down with them and ask them, hey, what do you think you got? They knew it. Oh, don't tell me, I got it. And they would get it correct. So we started asking questions. What else do you need? And let them talk, and their heart just start pouring out. And you get to see they may have an unsafe home environment. They may not be able to walk to or from school in a safe manner. They may not have a great relationship with their educator. And those relationships, or the lack thereof, can stifle a child's development. So we would often meet in libraries, cafes, oftentimes to get, a warm meal with those scholars, and help them with career development, college placement, test prep, but also professional and life development. And a lot of times they needed a mentor. They needed someone to sit down with them, listen to them, and let them feel seen and heard. And we recognized we have a lot of field experts in our community that we can connect them to. There's so many of us doing the work, whether it's in culinary, or it's in cosmetology, or it's in construction. How can we connect our youth to mentors, individuals that need the assistance, with people who want the extra assistance? So having the relationship where we're elevating our youth, we're bringing them into spaces where they are seen and heard, give them a better trajectory. And we also still connect them to tutoring programs. We're just not the ones housing those tutoring programs. It's more through a mentorship and connecting them to Jackie and Peace Runners, or Aisha's Root to Fruit. It's the work that we choose to do amplifies the community organizers and field experts doing the work. And I think when I look around to see where can we fit in and where do we do our best work, it's being that data center for our community.
Okay. What are some projects that you've worked on in the past?
Yes, one of the big projects we worked on was the Save the West Side project. It was a small business initiative um, during the pandemic when a lot of our small businesses didn't know if they were going to get any relief. And at that time, there was the George Floyd insurrection that was happening downtown, but also spreading across the west side of Chicago. And it was a narrative that we were destroying our community and we did not care for the economic development of the small business owners or the residents. So we took it upon ourselves to start cleaning up glass, cleaning up trash, and also asking community to donate. Right now, we don't know when the federal government will send aid. But what we do know is 80% of Black owned businesses fail within the first 18 months. Yeah, that is a statistic separate from the pandemic. So given that we have a hard time existing, given, the systematic, barriers that we face, imagine this global catastrophe. So it was more whatever you have. You may have a skill set you can share, you may have a space you can donate, you may have money. What can you do? And at that time, I think we received over $48,000 in donations. And we started knocking on doors in Garfield Park, North Lawndale, Humble Park, Austin, just saying, hey, if you are a business in need, we're here for you. North Lawndale, we didn't receive a lot of feedback. So we really had to go down 16th Avenue, go into small businesses saying, hey, there's a grant. It's a bucket of funds, and we're here to help provide a momentary relief. In total, we were able to give the grant to 26 Black and Brown owned businesses. Majority came from Austin and Garfield Park, but we really did our job in North Lawndale to get the 5 businesses that we did. And from there, we're like, oh, we have a business network. We already have a group of scholars
Yeah.
that are hungry and eager to get connected. So we had some barbers, we had beauty supply shops, we've had, I believe it was one grocery store, we've had some restaurants, and in different ways over the past 3 years, they've poured into Earth Remedies um, because we kind of gave them a moment of relief. And anytime they help us, we're like, let's barter, let's amplify your platform, let's amplify your resource. We have an audience, you have a product or a space. And in that process, the community was getting connected to their resources, the scholars was getting connected to field experts. And that was one of our biggest projects because it was all hands on deck. They became, wow, we have data to amplify for small businesses and we have the youth to connect them to.
Yeah.
And that really funneled my drive. I didn't say this, but I'm a database developer. I've been doing the work for, it'll be 11 years in May. So to be able to connect community and data
Yeah.
and put those worlds together, I'm just like, yes. Yeah, so we started to build a database for small businesses, for resource centers, and we have a network of families to connect them to. And that's kind of one of the biggest projects because it funneled a lot of initiatives for Earth Remedies, just us not just being a tutoring platform and um, amplifying resources, but also doing the data collection
Mm-hmm.
and mapping the individuals and the entities that need to be connected.
Okay, I love that. So, what are some current projects that you're working on?
Yeah, so one of the current projects that I'm working on and one of the biggest projects I'm working on is a part of the umbrella of Earth Remedies, and it's ER Data Solutions.
Okay.
It's launching this month, so I
Uh
feel very
oh.
comfortable talking about it.
Oh wait, what day? When are what? Tell us more. It's launching this month. What day?
So my goal is Earth Day, and that's in alignment with Earth Remedies. We will be celebrating year 8. So we are gonna try to kick off this data solution that will allow us to identify impact and connect community organizations to those KPI metrics that will allow them to get more funding and to make change in programs that are not really having that return of impact that they're looking for. So that's not always a bad thing. It's a way for you to strategize, go back to the drawing table and say, we're doing this really well. We can get more grant funding here. We can also inquire about assistance, resources to improve this program that's not really doing well. And we're looking at retention, we're looking at the overall engagement from the residents and the referrals, just to identify what programs are working and how we can better connect community to the work that you do.
And it's called ER?
Yes, ERDS or ER Data Solutions.
Okay, and you've been running Earth's Remedies for 8 years now?
Yes, Earth Day of 2016. So that's April 22nd. We kind of got started in 2014, 2015. We spent a lot of time in stealth mode, really just doing the research, connecting with families and seeing what are your concerns. And when I say Google is the goal, identifying the communities that's impacted, identifying their resources and the gaps is what I think my specialty is. And CLF is really allowing me to sit back and identify the ones doing the work. And it's a beautiful cohort because right now we're the first. And every cohort after is resources coming through. And we're all connected to our own base. Yeah. So I'm just, as we're leaving, this beautiful platform, I'm finding ways to stay connected because it's like, this is a resource. This is a beautiful network in and of itself. And I really want the current fellows and the fellows to come to feel as if there is that network of support. And after like 4 to 10 years, the number of fellows that would have been connected to CLF.
It's hundreds.
Yeah, so I really hope that when we're looking for help and wellness, right now we have Jackie, but within the 3 to 4 years is we have boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
And right now we have violence prevention and we have Aisha, but within the next 3 years, you may have Good Heroes. Yeah. You may have a few other organizations through CLF, and it just makes it easier for someone like me to just collect that data and to really talk to them in a manner where it's like, okay, what work do you do? What's your impact? What's your mission? How many scholars do you have? How many members or residents you're trying to gain and map that out?
Okay, I love that. What are your future plans? I know as CLF, you guys been talking about your 5-year plan. Yes. So maybe it's inside the 5-year plan, or maybe it's a little outside the 5-year plan.
Yes, one of my goals, I get a little stuck because I want to start a family. So it's there. But I can see myself getting more connected to people, to communicating my thoughts, articulating myself a little better, and maybe running for a political, office. I don't see myself as a politician, but I really want to support my community in a way where if we see the lack of integrity in these spaces, we have to go in and shake those tables. And you do appreciate people who have a base that allows them to have integrity and hold them accountable. So I know I'm in a great space to be held accountable. I want to be held accountable. And I feel as if that's my next steps. I know when I have, a family, but the work that I've been doing, it's leading me to either build a really extensive, decentralized database, and or lead myself into a space where I can help educate our people in a different environment. So rather than being on the outside, it's doing all of this work for them to vote me in and say, okay, let's amplify what we've already been doing. This is the way. And we have a database that can show the folks doing the work. We have a KPI metric to identify the impact. So what I'm saying, we've researched, and I kind of want, to find unique ways to capture the storytelling into that data analytic part, because it's very interesting to make sure when you walk into these rooms, you're telling the story. You're not just reporting on the data.
Yeah.
Oh, this is what we need. This is what's hurting. But the stories behind it really allow for the residents' concerns to be heard. And you just don't want to disconnect the resources needed and the residents, because those resources that end up being brought in can potentially displace those residents.
That's true.
So it's an interesting battle.
That's true. Is there anything you want the audience to walk away with?
One of my favorite quotes. There's so many of us doing the work, and we're often divided. So places like CLF allows for us to get connected, to amplify our voices. And I hope that you all can get connected to places like Earth Remedies so we can do the asset mapping, the asset framing, and to amplify the organizations, the entities doing the work. And we connect the small businesses with the resource centers, as well as the families and scholars. That's our three-legged stool. And we would love for you to be a part of that, because it takes community to build, to grow, and to plant those seeds. And I'm looking forward to growing with CLF, with the West Side, and to show the strength and the creativity and the intellect that come from the West Side of Chicago.
Okay. So where can our audience find you online, or Earth's Remedies?
Yes. So first, if you want to connect with me directly, Mercedes Pickett on LinkedIn. If you want to connect with Earth's Remedies on Instagram or Facebook, it's Earth's_Remedies on Instagram, or Earth's Remedies on Facebook with this logo. And if you want to connect with me on Instagram, I do a lot of creative work. It's mercy.eterne on IG.
Okay. So that actually brings us to the end of this episode. Thank you for coming, Mercedes.
Thank you so much.
How are you feeling?
I feel really good. I cannot wait to talk about that quiz that I took.
That you did really good on.
I cannot wait to rewatch this and see. Was I sweating? Can you see the sweat?
No, I cannot see the sweat. There's no beads of sweat on your forehead.
We have to do that game again. We have to.
Okay, next time I see you, I'm going to throw a movie quote out. Are you going to be ready? Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. One more. Bye, Felicia.
Friday?
Yes! Yes, so okay. Thank you so much again for joining me today. I hope you have a good day. Take the rest of your day to go walk with your dog West Side and have a good old time. So, all right.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a privilege to just talk about my life and to share my goals and to hopefully inspire the next generation.
Yes. I love that.
Thank you.
If you enjoyed our show, please rate and review us on Google and Apple Podcasts. And be sure to come back next week to meet a few of our fellows. Until then, I'm your host, The Elegance Lane. And don't forget, live here, work here, lead here. For more information on CLF, please go to www.clfellows.org.
Hi, this is Alexandra August, Executive Director and co-founder of Community Leadership Fellows. I'd like to thank our advisors and seed investors who coached, mentored, and guided us through our exploratory year in order to make the investment in Westside talent possible.